Mark Levin here. After any presidential election, I take time to reevaluate my own financial investments. That's why I continue to invest in gold for help with my financial protection. When it comes to gold, I only trust Advantage Gold. They're a top gold company in America, and that's who I turn to for my own gold purchases. Call them now at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000 for a free gold investment kit. And see if you qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. And tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Two things on this cabinet matters, maybe three. Number one, I fully support Pete Hegseth. I think they're trying to destroy him and his reputation. They smell blood in the water now that Gates has stepped out. And this is the way the Democrats and the media work. Hegseth would be a fantastic Secretary of Defense. I hope he stays the course. I hope he continues to get the backing that he needs. He will from me, and no, I've not spoken to him. I've not spoken to him. Now, FBI Director Mike Rogers, the gentleman who lost the Senate race in Michigan, gentleman who was in the House for a very long time, Mike Rogers is exactly what Donald Trump ran against. He's a quintessential Republican establishmentarian. Among other things, he didn't want to come on this program and talk to you folks, conservatives out there. That's not the reason I have problems with him. The reason is he will disappoint the president. He's another Christopher Wray type. And so I can't support a Mike Rogers for FBI director. I can support a Kash Patel. Now, they say he's controversial. Now, what did I say the other day? Anytime you nominate a conservative, they're said to be controversial. They're said to be controversial. And I would say to the media out there, how come you didn't pursue Dougie Emhoff? Allegations of his law firm, of which he headed in L.A., of sexual harassment, allegations in his case of slamming a woman. How come that was a non-issue? I'm just curious. How come that was a non-issue? How come it was a non-issue for Bill Clinton to get the nomination and win the Democrat Party primary when there were allegations, legitimate, women coming forward of rape, molestation, sexual harassment throughout his time as Attorney General and Governor of Arkansas? That didn't seem to be a big issue. I'm not a big Matt Gaetz fan. You folks know I never have been. That's not my point. My point is I want Donald Trump to get the people he wants. The people he wants. But I will remind the media of a very distasteful fact. But history is history, and I don't choose to rewrite it. And that is that when John Kennedy was president of the United States, ready for this, Mr. Producer? Ready for this, media? He apparently had sex with an underage intern in the White House swimming pool on more than one occasion, and encouraged one of his aides to do the same thing. I don't like thinking about it. I don't like talking about it. But the Democrat Party goes low, and they go low all the time. And this isn't a defense of Matt Gaetz. This is an effort to expose the Democrat Party for what it is. The Democrat Party has no morality. They don't care about any of this stuff. The border's wide open. Women are being sold into sex slavery. Little kids are being sold into sex slavery. Women are missing. Kids are missing. Do they seem concerned about it? No. No, they don't. But Mike Rogers is, at least from my perspective, and I haven't said this about anybody, a firm no for FBI director. Pete Hegseth would be a fantastic Secretary of Defense. That's why they don't want... By the way, who is this senator from North Dakota? What the hell is his name? From North Dakota. He's walking around like he owns the country. I forget his name. Doesn't really matter. Some are pubic. Kramer. That's it. Kevin Kramer. He's like walking around telling everybody who's in, who's out, who's in. Did somebody elect him president of the United States? Was he even up for the Senate this last time? I don't think he was. You don't hear from that jackass. Who cares what he thinks? I certainly do not. Here's Pete Hegseth. He's approached on Capitol Hill. Put a microphone in his face. Cut 3, go.
As far as the media is concerned, I'll keep this very simple. The matter was fully investigated, and I was completely cleared, and that's where I'm going to leave it.
Okay. No. We're not going to leave it there. We smell blood in the water. Let's take out Hegseth. The people who want to take out Hegseth don't care about any women or anything like that, the allegations, the falsity, whatever it is. They don't want Hegseth there to reform the Pentagon. That's why they don't want him there. It's that simple. They don't want him there to reform the Pentagon. It's that simple. The federal contractors, the special interests, the member of the House and the Senate, they like what's going on. So keep that in mind, too. Then we're told by the miscreants and malcontents, the reprobates in the Democrat Party, that Donald Trump didn't win a mandate. We hear this from Wasserman Schultz, that little puke. They go to the same Democrats, Eric Swalwell, who should be in prison, in my humble opinion, for sleeping with a communist Chinese spy while he was in key positions in the House of Representatives. How did he slip through that, Mr. Producer? I just wonder how. I see Bill Clinton has a book coming out, and he's doing a lot of interviews, but of course they're not going to ask him to go down memory lane when it comes to sexual assault and so forth. Why would they do such a thing? No. So it's very distasteful. But this is where the Democrats drag us. Just remember the hearings with Clarence Thomas. That's where they went. And not for something completely different and extremely important. There's something called the International Criminal Court. It's got 3 judges. They head judges from France. That ought to tell you a lot. France has basically thrown in with the Islamists. Their immigration policies have destroyed their country. The chief rabbi in France has told the Jews to get the hell out of there, and he says there won't be a Jew left there in 10 years. The chief prosecutor of the ICC has problems with sexual harassment. He's under investigation. He's a pervert, among other things. I hear his brother is too, but what do I know? There was no investigation done in the state of Israel. There were no interviews taken. There were no on-site visits, which is what the prosecution for the ICC is supposed to do. And even more than that, they have no jurisdiction over Israel, just like they have no jurisdiction over the United States. Sovereign countries have to agree that the ICC will have jurisdiction over them. We have not, Israel has not, and a handful of other countries have not. So this is a rogue court filled with Jew-hating anti-Semites. That's what it is. Iran has helped fund the complaint that was filed against Netanyahu and Gallant, the former Minister of Defense? Iran. Through South Africa. South Africa, the government of South Africa is notoriously anti-Semitic. So the whole thing's a setup. Now, the Republican House of Representatives passed a bill that would severely sanction the ICC. Chuck Schumer, we're told the first Jewish majority leader in the history of the Senate, is busy unjewing himself, you see, because he wouldn't take up the bill. The bill passed in the House of Representatives has been pushed mostly by Gentiles to defend the state of Israel. The man leading the Democrats in the Senate is Jewish, and of course, he's throwing in with the anti-Semites. Now, I pointed out to you last night, 18 of these Senate Democrats voted to withhold $20 billion in arms sales that Congress already passed, Biden already signed, while the same administration has given about $200 billion either directly or refusing to enforce sanctions on Iran, and Iran's given that to its terrorist surrogates. We're still funding UNRWA. We're still funding the Palestinian Authority, terrorist operations. And yet 18 Democrat senators did this yesterday after the election. They wanted to wait. And so the ICC saw this, and they said, now's our turn. So what did they do? They actually issued criminal arrest warrants against Netanyahu and this guy Gallant, the former defense minister. Arrest warrants. That means every country in the entire universe, the entire world, that has signed on with the ICC is expected to arrest Netanyahu if he enters their country, including France, which said they would, including Canada. Trudeau said today he would arrest Netanyahu too. We're going to take a break. I want you to hear Netanyahu's response to this because it's outrageous. And the Republican leadership in the Senate, John Thune, has been very good. Said we're going to fight this damn thing as soon as we get control of the Senate. The Speaker of the House has been outstanding, same thing. Donald Trump has been outstanding, same thing. So have his putative appointees. Biden puts out a statement and does nothing. The Democrat Party does nothing. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Did you see what the Federal Reserve did literally days after President Trump's victory? It's lowered interest rates by a quarter. Do you know why it did that? It's worried about the economy. It's worried about the fact that jobs aren't being created. We're seeing all kinds of shifts in our portfolios, and it's important to stay aware. That's why I'm urging everyone to diversify and consider gold as one of your financial shields. Now, gold has weathered every kind of economic downturn throughout history. I want you to call Advantage Gold. They're the best of the best, folks. I've dealt with all of them. They're the best. They're my gold company. 1-800-900-8000. Get a free gold investment kit to see how you can get started with gold. I recommend Advantage Gold to anyone who's serious about protecting their wealth, and that's you. Call 800-900-8000 for your free gold investment kit, and you can even qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Call them now. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. You'll be very happy with them. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. Here's Netanyahu in a video statement today in response to the criminal arrest warrant issued by the ICC. Go ahead.
The anti-Semitic decision of the International Court in The Hague is a modern Dreyfus trial, and it will end the same way. 130 years ago, the French Jewish officer Alfred Dreyfus was falsely accused of treason by a biased French court. In response to these false accusations, the great French writer Émile Zola wrote his monumental essay, J'accuse. He accused the French court of anti-Semitic lies against an innocent officer who was later exonerated of all guilt. Now an international court in The Hague, also headed by a French judge, is repeating this outrageous offense. It is falsely accusing me, the democratically elected Prime Minister of the State of Israel, and Israel's former defense minister, Yoav Gallant, of deliberately targeting civilians This when we do everything in our power to avoid civilian casualties. We issue millions of text messages, phone calls, leaflets to the citizens of Gaza to get them out of harm's way, while the Hamas terrorists do everything in their power to keep them in harm's way, including shooting them, using them as human shields. The court in The Hague accuses us of a deliberate policy of starvation. This when we've supplied Gaza with 700,000 tons of food to feed the people of Gaza. That's 3,200 calories for every man, woman, and child in Gaza. And these supplies are routinely looted by Hamas terrorists who deprive their people of much-needed food. Yet just in the last few weeks, Israel facilitated the vaccination of 97% of the people of Gaza against polio. This doesn't prevent the court of accusing us of genocide. What in God's name are they talking about in The Hague? The truth is simple. No war is more just than the war that Israel has been waging in Gaza after Hamas attacked us unprovoked, launching the worst massacre against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. The decision to issue an arrest warrant against me, the democratically elected Prime Minister of the State of Israel, and our former defense minister, was made by a rogue prosecutor who's trying to extricate himself from sexual harassment charges, and by biased judges who are motivated by anti-Semitic sentiments against the one and only Jewish state. These judges did nothing. They did nothing against the real war crimes committed against the millions who've been murdered or uprooted by the dictatorships in Iran, Syria, and Yemen. Instead, they falsely accuse the one democracy in the Middle East, Israel, thereby imperiling the right of all democracies to defend themselves against murderous terrorists and tyrants. Nor did the court do anything against the Hamas terrorists who raped our women, beheaded our men, burned babies alive in front of their parents, and kidnapped hundreds of men, women, and children to the underground dungeons of Gaza. They're still holding 101 hostages, citizens of many lands, including the United States. Come to think of it, the court did issue one arrest warrant against Hamas. Now hear this. They issued an arrest warrant against the corpse of the Hamas arch-terrorist Mohammed Deif. His corpse. What an absurdity. No biased anti-Israel decision in The Hague will prevent the State of Israel from defending its citizens. I want to thank our many friends around the world, especially those in the United States, who've condemned this outrage and who have said that this decision will have severe consequences for the ICC and those who cooperate with its decision. Israel will not recognize the validity of this decision. We will continue to do everything we must do to defend our citizens and defend our state against Iran's axis of terror, Iran and its terrorist proxies, which include Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and others. Our enemies are your enemies, and our victory will be your victory, the victory of civilization over barbarism and tyranny.
Just a brilliant response, of course. Now, I read some of the media coverage of this. It's grotesque. Absolutely grotesque. They keep talking about the 44,000 civilians that have been killed in Gaza, according to, now they write, local health sources. No, that's according to Hamas. A Hamas leader said 6 weeks ago, and I reported it to you behind this microphone, that the vast majority of those who've died, 80% of whom are terrorists and or members of terrorist families. We've had statisticians on this program, I've brought them to your attention, who've gone through the numbers and say these numbers are impossible, that the media keep reporting, but they keep reporting it, regurgitating, because the media in America hates Israel, hates Netanyahu, backs the Democrat Party, which hates Netanyahu and hates Israel. I'll be right back. The markets are volatile. They're shooting up wildly only to drop without warning. The Fed just cut rates yet again, this time by a quarter point. Why? Because the Federal Reserve is not confident the economy is strong. In fact, last month only 12,000 jobs were created, all of them in the government. That's why I'm telling you again, diversification is crucially important. And diversification with gold is what I do. And the company I use, and I've used many, the best one is Advantage Gold. Call them now at 800-900-8000 for a free gold investment kit to see how gold can help you diversify your investments and take advantage now. Now, gold has been helping to protect and grow wealth for people for thousands of years. And in these times, it can be more crucial than ever. When it comes to gold, I trust Advantage Gold. They're one of the top gold companies in America. They're who I turn to when I purchase gold. Call them now, 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000 now for a free gold investment kit to see how gold can help you with your investment portfolio, a.k.a. your bank accounts, your paycheck. And when you do, you could qualify for $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Folks, don't wait. Call them now, 800-900-8000, and tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Mark Levin, tough as hell.
That's why I like Mark Levin. And I'm not sure a lot of people like him. He's tough as hell. But I like him. I love him.
Call in now. 877-381-3811.
Good job. The breaking news is President Trump has nominated Pam Bondi for Attorney General of the United States. And my Julie and I have gotten to know Pam Bondi, especially Julie. She is fantastic. Now watch them try to destroy her. But, you know, we got to start coming to the defense of these people, folks. I mean, I've been doing it now since day one. But we all do. We all do. But I think she'll be fantastic. I really do. And we're going to continue to stand behind Pete Hegseth, too, on this program. No question about it. You heard what Netanyahu had to say. Justin Trudeau is when it comes to leadership, he's a dwarf. I don't mean a physical dwarf. I mean a mental dwarf. That's what he is. He's in many ways destroyed Canada. He's admitted that his immigration policies were destructive. He's very unpopular in that state now. He doesn't believe in civil liberties as the people in Canada saw. What he did to the truckers up there and other protesters who challenged the mask mandates and other pandemic excesses that government participated in a very significant way. And so listen to what he says about Netanyahu in the International Criminal Court, such as it is. Cut 2, go.
Now that the ICC has issued warrants for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former defense minister, Yoav Gallant, Canadian law enforcement is obligated to arrest them should they come to Canada. Will you allow that to happen, or will you step in to prevent an arrest?
First of all, as Canada has always said, it's really important that everyone abide by international law. This is something we've been calling on from the beginning of the conflict. We are one of the founding members of the International Criminal Court, the International Court of Justice. We stand up for international law, and we will abide by all the regulations and rulings of the international courts. This is just who we are as Canadians.
So he would literally arrest Benjamin Netanyahu, Canada. I remember during the Vietnam War, Americans, some, not many, but some would run to Canada. They felt it was freer. They could avoid the war that way. Now I see Canadians are running to America. Have you noticed that, Mr. Producer? They're running to America for their freedom, for free speech rights, the right to protest. They're running to America for actual health care. They're running to America because they can't stand this SOB. And so what he's saying is, yes, we will arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. France has said the same thing. The fact that this decision is beyond unjust, the fact that this decision is based on hate and thousands of years of anti-Semitism doesn't apparently bother them. Doesn't apparently bother them. I thought you ought to hear this. You don't hear it from me, you're not going to hear it from anybody, I don't think. Now, the Republicans, notice you're not hearing from any Democrats, are you? Over at our friends, the Free Beacon, you can expect a strong response. Republicans weeks away from a trifecta that is, all branches of government, ready ICC sanctions following Bibi arrest warrant. But they have to wait till they actually get the Senate and the presidency, because Biden and Schumer will not do anything. We will continue doing everything in our power to combat this pro-terrorist, illegitimate court. House GOP whip Tom Emmer tells for the Free Beacon. I never knew this guy before. I'm getting more impressed with this guy, Emmer. Adam Credo, the International Criminal Court's decision to issue arrest warrants for Israel's prime minister and former defense minister sparked a flurry of promises from Republican leaders to sanction the court and erode its legitimacy on the world stage. Again, you won't see an article about Democrats saying this. And I doubt the Sunday shows will come to Israel's defense either. Instead, they'll give a floor, I'm just predicting, to Bernie Sanders and the other big mouths. The GOP-controlled House passed a bill earlier this year that would do just that, though Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer blocked it from coming to a vote in the upper chamber. I might add, he's Jewish. In a matter of weeks, Schumer will be in the minority, and Republicans will control both the House and the executive branch. Incoming GOP leaders in the House, Senate, and White House made clear that come January, the ICC will face sanctions and other punitive measures. The ICC has no credibility, and these allegations have been refuted by the United States government, said Representative Michael Waltz, President-elect Donald Trump's incoming national security advisor. He said in reference to that court's determination, Israel's lawfully defended its people and its borders from genocidal terrorists. You can expect a strong response to the anti-Semitic bias of the ICC and UN come January. You see, folks, the ICC is an appendage to the United Nations. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, Republican Minnesota, echoed Waltz, telling the Washington Free Beacon Republicans in the lower chamber will continue to do everything in our power to combat this pro-terrorist, illegitimate court. House Republicans passed bipartisan legislation 5 months ago to sanction the ICC for unlawfully targeting our ally. Yet it has done nothing but collect dust on Chuck Schumer's desk. By the way, they could do the same thing to Trump. Senator Lindsey Graham also took aim at Schumer. It's time for the U.S. Senate to act and sanction this irresponsible body, he said, and act now. And following months of debate, the ICC determined that Israel has intentionally starved Palestinians in the war-torn Gaza Strip. The charges carry little legal weight, as the United States and Israel are not members of the court. No standing, no relevance or path, Fetterman wrote. Fetterman's the one Democrat who speaks out. Fetterman. Good for him. In addition to pushing for sanctions, Senator Graham has led his own investigation into ICC Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan. Remember, I, in part, broke that news here. He's accused of sexually harassing female colleagues. That investigation is also likely to ramp up come in January. The ICC, in a bid to appear neutral, also issued arrest warrants to several Hamas leaders, as if there's a legitimate connection in terms of the Israeli leaders and the Hamas leaders. So this is just sickening. Military Chief Mohammed Diab Ibrahim Amarsi Yabadabadu, also known as Yabadaba, who cannot face charges because he's dead. Israeli leaders quickly condemned it. And by the way, all major Israeli leaders, Lapid, Gantz, they all came out and condemned this. So in this, the Israelis are united. For once. In this, they are united. And the amount of food and water and medicine the Israelis have poured into the Gaza Strip is really unimaginable in a time of war. It's unimaginable. It's an enormous amount. So that's the situation. And as I said, this ICC could do exactly the same thing to any American soldier, any American politician, any American public official. They could do it to our president. They don't have the authority to go after anyone in the United States or Israel or a non-member or a country that is a non-member of the ICC. But they did it anyway. And they did it because Iran funded the complaint through South Africa, Algeria, Ireland, all those countries that have filed complaints against the state of Israel. You might as well have the whole conga line of reprobates and genocidal monsters at the UN sign the complaint, because it's the same damn thing. It's the same damn thing. It's actually quite unbelievable. And yet here we are. The Democrats sit on their hands. And isn't it interesting? They waited until after the election, the ICC, to do what it did. Isn't it interesting that the ICC wasn't the only one that waited after the election, but last evening's vote by the Democrats, 18 of them, to try and withhold all weapons sales, all, to Israel, was done after the election as well. Isn't that interesting? No, it's conniving. It's grotesque. It's immoral. I shall return.
Mark Levin.
Did you see what the Federal Reserve did literally days after President Trump's victory? It's lowered interest rates by a quarter. Do you know why it did that? It's worried about the economy. It's worried about the fact that jobs aren't being created. We're seeing all kinds of shifts in our portfolios, and it's important to stay aware. That's why I'm urging everyone to diversify and consider gold as one of your financial shields. Now, gold has weathered every kind of economic downturn throughout history. I want you to call Advantage Gold. They're the best of the best, folks. I've dealt with all of them. They're the best. They're my gold company. 1-800-900-8000. Get a free gold investment kit to see how you can get started with gold. I recommend Advantage Gold to anyone who's serious about protecting their wealth, and that's you. Call 800-900-8000 for your free gold investment kit, and you could even qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Call them now. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. You'll be very happy with them. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. Great Life, Liberty, and Levin, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday we have Victor Davis Hanson. Davis Schoen, one of the great constitutional, civil rights, and defense lawyers in the country. We're going to discuss the strategy that's being used by the lawyers in New York. I like these lawyers a lot. I like Todd Blanche a lot. I just have a slightly different view that I don't think they should Merchan not rule favorably. I don't really think they should be playing around in the legal waters of New York. I mean, they can do that, but they need to simultaneously move it into the federal system. And by that, I don't mean federal district court. I don't mean the Second Circuit. No, I mean to the Supreme Court. Worst the Supreme Court could say is no, but I think they'll say yes. There's just too much at stake with what's going on here, and I don't think they're going to like the fact that a local prosecutor and an acting state judge are flopping all over the federal jurisdiction, including the office of the presidency, the federal constitution. I don't think they're going to like it at all. But if they duck, they're going to pay a price for it, which means this issue is not going to go away. It's just not going to go away. And so I point that out. So I want to ask you folks a question. Why do they keep bringing Wasserman Schultz? She's on CNN today. Eric Swalwell, he's on MSNBC today. Why do they keep bringing these same people on TV? I just need to understand. I mean, what is the point? And I guarantee the Sunday shows are going to bring in the Bernie Sanders of the world and the other reprobates, the other Marxist, Stalinists, Islamists. Are the media going to learn? I don't think the media are going to learn. I think there may be some corporate movement here. I think it's important. We talked about it extensively last night. Spin-offs and so forth. Maybe they'll change corporate hands. But I think fundamentally, unless they get rid of some of these hosts, it's not going to work. Now, you can attack on the left the Scarboroughs all you want. They're being attacked for being disingenuous, being unprincipled. That's fine. They set themselves up this way. I mean, how many times did I come on the air here, Mr. Producer, and tell Joe Scarborough, what are you doing? Yeah, repeatedly, especially after we met on the airplane. I said, what are you doing? You know you don't believe this. Why are you talking this way? Why are you doing these things? But, you know, he went in one direction, and now he's moving in another direction. So people are criticizing it, but on the left, they're criticizing it because they want them to continue to throw mud balls. And this group on the left, it's shrinking, but it doesn't matter. Remember, it took Castro about 20 or 30 Marxist, quote-unquote, guerrillas in the jungles to overthrow an entire government. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take a lot. They're never in the majority. The Marxists on the left, they've never been in the majority when they overthrow governments. Mao wasn't in the majority. Lenin wasn't in the majority. Even the Islamo-Nazis in Tehran, they weren't in the majority, but they seized the tools and the levers of power. And that's what the Democrats are waiting for. I'm being perfectly honest with you. You may have a few out there saying, hey, we've disconnected. Hey, we're not. But that's fine. But they're not the ones who are going to drive the agenda. The Democrats smell blood in the water now that Gates stepped down. And it's very important that we, in this audience, we rally around Pete Hegseth. We rally around these other folks. Because they're going to try and pick them off one at a time. And you get these Republicans like this idiot in North Dakota, whose name I still don't remember, whose name's not worth remembering, quite frankly. He's another RINO. Another RINO, like this guy, Mike Rogers. I hope Trump doesn't appoint him as the FBI director. I mean, it's possible. I don't call Donald Trump and say, don't do this and do this. I leave it to other talk show hosts that think they should be doing that sort of thing. And many of them do. They're in his ear constantly, day in and day out. I don't know if he likes it or not, but that's not the way I treat the president. He's the president. If he wants my opinion, I'll ask for my opinion. He's done that at times. And I told you folks before about the attorney general position. That's not something, people even on the internet have been saying, well, Mark, you should do this. I've had friends, kind of powerful friends, said, no, that's not happening. I'm not interested. I was already over there. And I was asked about this some time ago by the top dog. I said, no, it's not something I'm interested in. Didn't offer it. He just asked if it was something I'd be interested in. No. I like what I'm doing. I think it's important that our people have air cover on radio and on TV and on digital. And that's what I do, and that's what I'm doing now. I've already been in government. I already spent 8 years in the Reagan administration. I'm not going back. I talk about fresh faces, fresh voices. There's a lot of statesmen, leaders. There's a lot of conservatives out there, constitutionalists. Give them a chance. Let them do what they need to do. The president knows who he wants. Let him have who he wants, and so forth and so on. Now, Pam Bondi was the Attorney General of Florida. She's a very, very nice person, and a very smart person, and a damn good lawyer. And a damn good lawyer. And she should get our full-throated support. Period. Period. This is who the president wants. She's 1,000 times better than Merrick Garland. 1,000 times better. You might say, well, who isn't? Well, some of them aren't, but she is. And I think she could do an excellent job over there as somebody who was chief of staff to an Attorney General Meese, as a matter of fact. So now we have a sort of an echo going on, a mantra going on among Democrats in and out of the media, which is that Donald Trump didn't win a wave election. He doesn't have a mandate. It wasn't a landslide. And they're going to keep this up, because why? Because they're liars, they're propagandists, they're demagogues. It was a massive landslide. It's the biggest landslide you could possibly have in modern politics with the change in the demographics, the change in the nature in which these elections are run. There couldn't have been a bigger one. He swept every one of these purple states, these battleground states, and he almost swept New Jersey and Virginia and some of these other states. Came very, very close. And in every demographic, he either won them or he did better than he had before. It's amazing. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. You know, Joe Biden had one of the worst cabinets in American history as far as I'm concerned. unqualified, if not low qualified individuals that he put into positions. We seem to forget that. We seem to ignore that, but it's true. Pam Bondi should move very quickly through the process, but the Democrats, of course, will try and muck that up. But if the Republicans stand firm, it won't matter. And we're going to watch this very carefully because, folks, personnel is policy. That's what we used to say in the Reagan administration. So if a president can't get the people he wants, he's not going to be able to do what you elected him to do. And so this is the first battle, in the battle after the election, to determine whether the Trump presidency is going to be successful. Because the president can't be in every department. And when you have a cabinet secretary, you have a number of people who report to her, both civil service people and political people. And they populate these departments with individuals who need to be loyal to the agenda of the president, particularly under Republicans, because the bureaucracy is very hostile to Republicans. If they want to streamline the bureaucracy, if they want to take power away from the bureaucracy, if they want to limit their budgets and eliminate some, fat and waste in these departments, they're going to object and they're going to leak. And they have their friends in the media. This is the whole swamp that everybody's talking about. So it's very important that he get the people that he wants. And these departments, defense and justice, and some of these departments are huge. The State Department, for instance, I will note here, just as a side point, have you noticed, Mr. Producer, not a single negative word about Marco Rubio? Isn't that weird? I'm just saying it's strange. I mean, you got to work really, really hard to have the Democrats kiss your butt and the Republicans kiss your butt. And we shall see. I'm not anti-Rubio in any respect, but I just find it interesting that so far he's the one that's stuck real scrutiny for a crucially important position. Matter of fact, the Democrats have all come out praising him, which is fine. It's just weird. As a Tea Party candidate, that's what he was. That's what he was. Anyway, but Bondi would be very good. But what I'm trying to say here is that these appointments are the beginning of the process to determine whether this is going to be a successful presidency. And so the Democrats are going to try and pick one off, and now they're going after Hegseth. I'm looking at these articles against Hegseth. I'm looking at these lowlives on these sites like Mediocreite and the rest of them. How they're glomming onto everything they can and anybody who has something negative to say about Pete Hegseth. It's just crazy. But it's to be predicted. It's to be expected. The Democrat Party, folks, is not a normal party. It's not really an American party. It's more of a European revolutionary hard left party. That's what it is. That's what it fancies itself. That's what Bernie Sanders has done and pushed the party towards. It is a revolutionary party, and I don't mean that in a good sense. It's not a reformist party, it's a revolutionary party. And so it can't change its stripes. It won't change its stripes. Remember that Joe Biden was supposed to be a moderate, supposed to be a unifier, been around for 50 years and so forth and so. Remember all that? But look what he became in office. He became Bernie Sanders. That's what he became. And that's what he is. Became extremely radical. So they're not going to just accept their defeat. They're going to fight for the midterm elections to try and take the Senate back, to try and take the House. Then they're going to try and fight to impeach Donald Trump again and gut his agenda. And so the first 100 days of a presidency is crucial, but I would argue the days before Donald Trump is sworn into office is crucial. And you have these lame brains like that idiot from North Dakota. What's his name again? Kramer? Kevin Kramer, who don't get it. Who don't get it. They're the playthings of the media and the Democrat Party. They play one game while the Democrats play another. I would ask you a question, whether you like Matt Gaetz or not. I've never been a big fan of his, but I wasn't going to say that while he was nominated. But he's out now. But I've said it before he was nominated, but it doesn't matter. Do you think if the Democrats had a candidate who was nominated like Matt Gaetz that they would criticize him, Mr. Producer? They'd circle the wagons. I can't think of a single person who's been incredibly controversial that the Democrats have jettisoned. They didn't even, well, I'm just making the point that they haven't changed and they're not. Now, here's Wasserman Schultz on CNN today about the election with Jim Acosta. Now, if CNN ever wants to get its journalistic legs back, they're going to have to get rid of this guy Acosta, because Acosta's not a journalist. Acosta is a spitballer. That's all he is. Cut 4, go.
Elections do come with consequences, do they not? And if the American people voted for this, isn't this what they get? At the end of the day,
have consequences, which is why I said someone like Marco Rubio and Mike Waltz, although even though I don't agree with them on a lot, those are responsible picks, people who who have the kind of experience necessary. But keep in mind, this was not a Republican wave. Donald Trump won by about 240,000 votes.
Excuse me, he won in Florida by like 1.5 million votes. That's your state. And they just keep lying. They keep denying. They keep lying. So they have no intention of changing who they are. They're incapable of it. They're ideologues. They're knee-jerkers. Go ahead.
Blue wall states, the smallest, likely it'll end up the smallest margin of victory in the popular vote for a presidential candidate, and about 1.5%.
What are you talking about, you idiot? What are you talking about, you idiot? George Bush didn't win the popular vote in his race against Gore. Donald Trump didn't win the popular vote the first time around. He won the popular vote this time. So what are you talking about? You don't even make any sense. Go ahead.
Here. But what there certainly should not be is a blank check to appoint a chaos cabinet like he's done. It's like the Star Wars cantina.
A blank check to appoint a chaos cabinet, Star Wars. We all need to reach across the aisle, don't we? Remember this? We need to reach across the aisle. Kumbaya, yeah. Hands across America. While they bite the hand. Go ahead.
Cabinets, and it's going to really jeopardize America's safety.
So now we're going to jeopardize America's safety. I mean, it seems to me that's what Joe Biden's been doing. He's jeopardized America's safety all over the world. So why bring on Wasserman Schultz on CNN? An old face, an old voice, an old politician. Because she says what Acosta agrees with and wants to give it a platform and a megaphone. That's why. They picked these guests for a reason. Now we have Joy Reid on MSNBC, or the soon-to-be eliminated MSNBC, with any luck. But she's the first who ought to go, quite frankly. We really ought not have bigots and anti-Semites, in my view, with platforms. Cut 5, go.
These past 14 days, y'all, have felt like Trump is casting his administration like it's a reality TV show. But with this
it's kind of funny when you watch, and I don't, The View or MSNBC or CNN. Talk about reality TV show? What the hell are these programs? And Donald Trump isn't casting like it's a reality TV show. There's a lot of very substantive, qualified people who are on Fox and other conservative media. That's not a disqualification. I mean, when you look and you read Unfreedom of the Press at how many Democrats have left Democrat staffs, Democrat administrations to go into the media, or how many so-called media types have left the media to go into Democrat staffs and Democrat administrations, it's pretty funny. Coming from this hack, from this moron. Go ahead.
Effort exerted on individuals who are exceptional in their lack of qualifications. You have to openly wonder what they
imagine a world in which Joy Reid would have control. Just imagine what kind of hellhole that would be. What kind of racist-based hellhole that would be. Go ahead.
And what he promised them in return. What's implied?
Promised them in return. May I ask Comcast a question? Why did you promote this clown? You knew what she had written as a blogger. You know about her homophobic posts. You know about her anti-Semitic posts. You know about all of her hate that bled through her posts on social media? Why in the hell would you hire her? And then why in the hell would you give her a 7 p.m. slot on your network, which is dying, which doesn't have any ratings, and she has no ratings? But why would you do that as a company? Why would you give a platform to somebody who is so vile, cancerous, poisonous, and hateful like this? Even now, why is she there? I'm absolutely serious, ladies and gentlemen. She's not the only one, but she's the worst one. She's the absolute worst one. And yet Comcast continues to give her voice. You don't have to wait till you spin off MSNBC. You should spin her off now. You worried about the criticism you'll get from the black community? You'll get criticism from some of the black community. You won't get criticism from most of the black community because you want to know a damn secret? Most of the black community is not watching MSNBC. That's why they have no ratings. So she plays to a relatively small audience, but an audience of policymakers, an audience of lawyers, an audience of political activists. That's who she plays to. But the average guy in the street, she doesn't play to them because they don't even believe her crap, even if they were to watch it. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, have you ever thought about what charities and causes you give your hard-earned money to? Pure Talk, my cell phone company, supports veterans. As a veteran-led company, that's their passion project. And that's why Pure Talk has slashed $10 million in veteran debt. That's why they donate tens of thousands of dollars every month to help prevent veteran suicide. That's why they donate $50,000 to Micro Works, providing scholarships to veterans learning the trades after active duty. Now, isn't that a company you can get behind? Time to jump ship from these other three guys. There's a better option. Pure Talk gives you the same great coverage, America's most dependable 5G network, for half the cost. And you'll be supporting a company that is helping our vets. It's a win-win. Dial pound 250. Say keyword Mark Levin. You'll be connected to Pure Talk's U.S. call center. That's right. They invest in American jobs to better serve you. And remember, they're half the price of the big three. Go to puretalk.com/Levin today. That's puretalk.com/LEVIN. Switch to a company that invests in American jobs to better serve you. Again, go to puretalk.com/Levin. You'll get an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. Things are on the move here, even as we're here on the radio. I've always said this is the cleanup position. It's the cleanup position because in the evenings, a lot of things happen. A lot of things happen that sometimes people are trying to throw a fastball or a screwball, but sometimes things just happen. Newsworthy things just happen. And we're here to catch them. So that's very, very important. There are other individuals who are going to come under attack as well. But I want to take a few minutes before the bottom of the hour to talk about something that has nothing to do with national news of that kind or the politics in Washington or government. And that's Dennis Prager. Now, I've known Prager a long time. We've never been best friends, but we've been friendly. We just has nothing to do with anything negative. It's all positive. It's just that he's busy, I'm busy. There's a lot of people out there. But I just want to make the point that he had a horrendous accident. He didn't just hurt his back. He hit his head and upper neck in a way that caused some very significant, let me put it, a very significant injury. And I would encourage you to continue to pray for him. And his wife and my wife are friendly, friends. And let me just put it that way. But our friends at Breitbart, People magazine smears Dennis Prager as far right after PragerU founder suffers injury. I'm telling you, these people on the left are the most horrendous, hateful, evil people that you can even imagine. Elena Master Angelo writes, Dennis Prager, one of the most balanced voices in the conservative movement, is being smeared by People magazine as far right after it was revealed that PragerU founder was hospitalized as a result of suffering an injury from a fall. In an article creepily headlined, Dennis Prager, far-right talk show host who founded PragerU, hospitalized with serious back injury from fall, Charlotte Phillip of People magazine attacked both Prager and his organization as far-right, likening PragerU founder to political extremists. Yeah, all he does is promote the Declaration, the Constitution, the American founding, our moral principles, and that's now far-right. She wrote, Dennis Prager, founder of the far-right media company PragerU, has been hospitalized after suffering a serious back injury. She went on to claim that PragerU, quote, has been at the center of controversies, unquote, citing the organization partnering with schools to offer teachers educational material that celebrates the rich history and values of the United States. She reported Prager and the nonprofit's teachings and political views are staunchly right-wing, appearing to make it seem that offering a conservative perspective in the left-wing dominated world of academia is somehow a major scandal. Those familiar with Prager and his work pointed out that the far-right label is patently false, taking to the comments section of Phillips' article to blast the assertion used in People magazine. And there's a number of quotes here from these. And I don't need to read them all. Monday, the organization shared an update on Prager's status, writing, that is Salem, and PragerU. Progress has been slow but steady. There's still a lot of swelling and inflammation around his neck and upper spine. Neck and upper spine. Until that recedes, it's hard to get a good sense of where this is all headed, PragerU added. But rest assured, the overall trend is positive. Patience is required, but as we all know, having patience is hard. His body needs time to heal. Let's give it to him. And I'm hesitant to say anything more about this, but he's in very serious shape. Let me put it to you that way. And People magazine sucks. Most of them do. Donnie Douche on the Morning Joe show. Look, I didn't name him. That's his name. Donnie Douche. What do you want from me? This guy has used the fascist stuff against Trump. He's been one of the most vile. Don't you think, Mr. Medusa? Yes, he's one of the biggest haters of the bunch. He's so out of touch, this guy. He's such a slob. Sitting there with his $5,000 suit or whatever the hell it is. Or maybe he just got it from Goodwill. I don't know where he got it. But here's Donnie Douche on the Morning Joe show today. May I give some friendly advice to Joe and Mika? Get some new guests, really. Just broom these people out. Broom these people out. Start remaking your show. Bring in serious people who have serious thoughts, serious ideas, and serious backgrounds. Bring on Donnie Douche. Cut 10, go.
Right now, the Democratic Party is mush. It is mush. It is a broken party.
It's mush? Mush? You mean mush? The word's mush. But it's mush because of jerks like you. You take any responsible for it? Anything? Donnie Douche, do you take any responsibility for it? Go ahead.
One also thing that saves parties, if you go back to Ronald Reagan, if you go back to Barack Obama, is a transformational candidate. You know, what changes everything is when that one person comes along that embodies, can say, I can fix your problem.
Now, it sounds like he's kissing the President-elect's butt right now, doesn't it, Mr. Producer? Donnie Douche. See, Joe, Mika, I'd broom this guy out. He's absolutely a waste of a carbon footprint, and he contributes nothing. I'll be right back. Folks, have you ever thought about what charities and causes you give your hard-earned money to? Pure Talk, my cell phone company, supports veterans. As a veteran-led company, that's their passion project. And that's why Pure Talk has slashed $10 million in veteran debt. That's why they donate tens of thousands of dollars every month to help prevent veteran suicide. That's why they donate $50,000 to MicroWorks, providing scholarships to veterans learning the trades after active duty. Now, isn't that a company you can get behind? Time to jump ship from these other three guys. There's a better option. Pure Talk gives you the same great coverage, America's most dependable 5G network, for half the cost. And you'll be supporting a company that is helping our vets. It's a win-win. Dial pound 250. Say keyword Mark Levin. You'll be connected to Pure Talk's U.S. call center. That's right. They invest in American jobs to better serve you. And remember, they're half the price of the big three. Go to puretalk.com/Levin today. That's puretalk.com/Levin. Switch to a company that invests in American jobs to better serve you. Again, go to puretalk.com/Levin. You'll get an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
Mark Levin, the thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
This Saturday, we have a killer, Life, Liberty, and Levin. Killer show. We're not going to discuss Jussie, what is his name? Smollett. We're not interested in that. We don't give a damn. We'll let everybody else keep chewing on that. We're not interested. We got other things to do. Two great guests, Victor Davis Hanson and David Schoen, one of the great civil rights, defense lawyers, constitutional lawyers, and a dear friend of mine. No, that's not correct. It's David Schoen. And what's interesting is, have you noticed, Mr. Producer, when I go ahead and line these guests up during the course of the week, they wind up on other shows right away. It's an amazing thing, but it doesn't matter. I do the long-form interviews. They're very, very important because we really dive deep into these various issues and so forth. And my opening statement, I'm sure, is going to be a killer. I work on it. I explain to you my routine, right? I tell you more about radio and TV and what goes on behind the scenes, I guess, than most. And why shouldn't I? It's not a big secret. I get up around 6:30, and I contemplate what I want to talk about for my opening statement. And I kind of circle it like an eagle, circle it. Sometimes I come upon it fairly easily. Sometimes it's a little bit more than a struggle. But once I hit it, I hit it. It's like the opening in this program. Sometimes the same thing, and then the bell rings, I'm on, and I know exactly what I'm doing. Sometimes I know hours before. But I want you to know something. I never shoot from the hip. I make sure I know exactly the substance, what I'm talking about, because I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste your time. Blaze Media. I'm very proud of Blaze Media. They do a fantastic job. I hope you check them out, theblaze.com. We got a great team there, a news team, various hosts, documentaries, investigations. It really is a bustling enterprise. I'm so proud of everybody at the Blaze. And there's a piece by Joseph McKinnon from today. Trump's potential pick for FBI director haunted by Russiagate, security state loyalties. They're talking about Mike Rogers. Mike Rogers is the Republican establishment. Former Representative Mike Rogers recently went to bat for Trump, but was previously associated with antagonistic groups. FBI Director Christopher Wray's 10-year term does not expire until 2027. President-elect Donald Trump is, however, expected to replace him upon taking office. While Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who Trump said is a very talented guy, might be in contention, the two men whose names keep popping up in discussions of a potential successor, and by the way, it could be a head fake, we don't know if it's accurate, are former National Security Council official Kash Patel, who is a great patriot, and former Michigan Representative Mike Rogers. Establishmentarians have piled on Patel, characterizing him as inexperienced, revenge-driven, and dangerous. So you know he's one of us when they do that, right? But they love Rogers. And the president will do whatever he wants, but Rogers will be a terrible disappointment to him over the course of his presidency. I just know it. And while Rogers, who specialized in organized crime as a special agent at the FBI Chicago office, has so far avoided similar abuse, Trump loyalists and critics of the American intelligence community expressed concerns about his past associations with individuals and censorious groups antagonistic to Trump, his historic support for surveillance programs, and the role he apparently played in pushing Russiagate. This is from The Blaze. Former Trump advisor Stephen Bannon asked Mike Benz, the executive director of the Foundation for Freedom Online, this week why the MAGA right would be particularly upset about a guy like Mike Rogers, who in normal times would look as fine, center-right candidate, but put up by a Romney-type Republican administration. Benz, keen to see Patel nominated, suggested that Rogers' involvement in the Atlantic Council, probably the number one apex predator, he said, in the entire censorship industry, and is helping advancing Russiagate, were disqualifying. The Daily Caller reported that Rogers is not only a member of this Aspen Cybersecurity Institute, a left-leaning think tank, but also served as an advisor to German Marshall Fund's Alliance for Securing Democracy initiative, spearheaded by a former foreign policy advisor to failed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, and aimed at tackling supposed Russian interference in the 2016 election. No wonder this guy avoided me, Mr. Burdett. He avoided me like the plague, didn't he? After 2 times when he didn't answer Mr. Burdett, I said, well, screw this guy. The ASD launched the Hamilton 68 dashboard in 2017 to monitor hundreds of then Twitter accounts allegedly linked to Russian influence efforts online. A project linked by investigative reporter Matt Taibbi to digital McCarthyism that was repeatedly used by establishment media publications as a source to push the Russian influence and interference narratives that Democrats in turn exploited during Trump's first term. According to Taibbi, when Twitter executives attempted to recreate the group's list of accounts, they determined the accounts were neither strongly Russia nor strongly bots, and indicated there's no evidence to support their statements that the dashboard is a finger on the pulse of Russian information ops. When pressed for comment, Rogers spokesman Chris Gustafson said in a statement to the Caller, that's the Daily Caller, President-elect Trump is once again assembling a fantastic administration to help the American people and make America great again. In other words, he didn't answer. Blew him off. WikiLeaks, which has been highly critical of Rogers as a former as an FBI director aspirant, suggested that the ASD was a central player in efforts to tie President Trump and his supporters to Russian interference in the 2016 election, and that the Hamilton 68 dashboard's true purpose appeared to be casting suspicion on Trump supporters and reinforcing claims that his presidency was illegitimate. WikiLeaks also highlighted how in 2018, Rogers advocated for the suppression of a Republican memo critical of the FBI spying on the Trump campaign. In fact, Rogers told NPR at the time the memo should not be released because, quote, you're not only going to get a small part of the picture, and so what they're purportedly alleging is going to come out in the memo today is that there was some misconduct on behalf of the FBI agents and some DOJ officials, lawyers at the Department of Justice, in the application for something called the FISA, which is the secret court that does counterintelligence, espionage cases, and so forth. Now, that was a big deal, actually. And I'm glad I was the first one to call it out. First one. Right here, Mr. Producer. You remember that March. What was it, 2017? Glenn Greenwald, journalist, responding to a video of Rogers apparently joking with Hunter Biden intel letter signatory Mike Hayden about having Edward Snowden assassinated, tweeted, there's literally no worse appointment possible than choosing Mike Rogers for FBI director or for any governmental position. He's the single most devoted loyalist to the U.S. security state and all of its multifaceted abuses. It doesn't get worse than Mike Rogers. Look, I don't do the pom-pom dance for Glenn Greenwald, but he's on to something here. He's on to something here. I'm a big fan of Mike Rogers, and should there be an opening for FBI director, he'd be my choice, said Maine Senator Susan Collins. There you go. Senator John Cornyn. Mike Rogers is a terrific guy. I don't know Kash Patel. Mike Rogers. Mike Rogers, America. I didn't even know all this stuff. What I knew was that he was your typical Washington inside establishment Republican. And I think he lost that race in Michigan, even though the House went back to the Republicans, even though Donald Trump won the state, is because he lost diehard constitutional conservatives. That's why. He didn't present himself to them. He could have done so right on this show. He ducked it. He could have done so on any show, but he didn't. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, have you ever thought about what charities and causes you give your hard-earned money to? Pure Talk, my cell phone company, supports veterans. As a veteran-led company, that's their passion project. And that's why Pure Talk has slashed $10 million in veteran debt. That's why they donate tens of thousands of dollars every month to help prevent veteran suicide. That's why they donate $50,000 to Micro Works, providing scholarships to veterans learning the trades after active duty. Now, isn't that a company you can get behind? Time to jump ship from these other three guys. There's a better option. Pure Talk gives you the same great coverage, America's most dependable 5G network, for half the cost. And you'll be supporting a company that is helping our vets. It's a win-win. Dial pound 250. Say keyword Mark Levin. You'll be connected to Pure Talk's U.S. call center. That's right. They invest in American jobs to better serve you. And remember, they're half the price of the big three. Go to puretalk.com/Levin today. That's puretalk.com/LEVIN. Switch to a company that invests in American jobs to better serve you. Again, go to puretalk.com/Levin. You'll get an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. It's going to be a great Thanksgiving, isn't it, America? I'm looking forward. You know, the only time I took off this year, pretty much, was when I was injured. And I felt very guilty about it. I take off less time for vacations, I think, than any other host. Don't you think, Mr. Producer? I don't take a lot of time off. Here and there I do. No, I wasn't on a beach. I was in a hospital room. But anyway, I'm not complaining. But I very much look forward to it, seeing family and friends, celebrating the election and what's to come. But we're going to have to be resolute because the Democrat Party is already engaging in, guerrilla tactics. But there was something I came across at Breitbart that I thought might interest you. You remember this guy, Andrew Weissman? Andrew Weissman, the little bastard prosecutor who cost people their jobs, just a hitman. Something wrong with this guy. Well, as Joel Pollack writes, our good friend, a federal court has denied a motion by anti-Trump pundit Andrew Weissman to dismiss a defamation suit by former White House lawyer Stefan Passantino over false claims that he had coached a January 6th committee witness to lie. So this caught my attention. Excuse me. Hold on now. We know what that is. I got to take the... There we go. Former Trump White House attorney Stefan Passantino filed a defamation lawsuit against MSNBC's Andrew Weissman, who served as lead prosecutor for former special counsel Robert Mueller. Wonder what's happened to him. He's probably banging in the walls somewhere. Over Weissman's claims that Passantino coached discredited January 6th committee witness Cassidy Hutchinson to lie on the stand. Breitbart News reported Hutchinson's third-hand testimony that Trump grabbed the wheel of his presidential limousine in an effort to force it to drive to the Capitol was rejected by the people she claimed she had told. Passantino represented Hutchinson at the time of her testimony before the committee. Many members of the media falsely claimed that he coached her to lie on the stand, a claim he has repeatedly denied. But the Federalist reported yesterday, in September, U.S. District Court Judge Lauren Alicon denied a motion from MSNBC legal analyst and attorney Andrew Weissman to dismiss a complaint filed by Stefan Passantino, who represented former White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson. This is an insidious lie, Passantino's lawsuit reads. Ms. Hutchinson even testified under penalty of law. I want to make this clear to you. Stefan Passantino never told me to lie. He told me not to lie. That was her testimony. But apparently it wasn't good enough for Andrew Weissman. Hutchinson's testimony can be found on page 42. Okay. Weissman is known for his hostility to Trump. Yeah, I'll say. and his enthusiasm for lawfare efforts to target the president-elect. So that defamation suit will go forward. But again, I would advise Comcast, since they're not seeking or soliciting advice, but I'm happy to give it to them. I gave them advice to get rid of MSNBC. Coincidental, I'm sure. Get rid of Weissman. He's poison. He's a hack. The idea that this guy was a federal prosecutor for much of his life, the idea that he was an assistant to Mueller when Mueller was the director of the FBI, the number of lives that he destroyed, the number of jobs that he destroyed in that outrageous case that he brought, is just shocking to me. This is why we need a solid person to run the Department of Justice, because of the injustices that occur. And this is why we cannot have a Mike Rogers as the FBI director. Donald Trump wants him. He's going to get him. But I would encourage here openly, you'll be very disappointed with this guy. Very disappointed with this guy. He'll turn on you in 2 seconds. 2 seconds. That's why Susan Collins likes him. John Cornyn likes him. The Democrats will like him. The whole conga line of Washington, D.C., long in the tooth insiders. They think he's great. That's the point of why he shouldn't be appointed. In my humble, he'll probably have more Democrats supporting him, Mr. Producer, than Marco Rubio, don't you think? I think that's possible. Close call, but I think it's possible. But I think it's a mistake. I think Pam Bondi is going to be great as Attorney General. We're going to have to fight to get these people through, America. We're going to have to fight to get the second tier and third tier Trump people through. And this is something I talk about at length and very importantly in my opening statement Saturday night, by the way, on Life, Liberty, and Levin. Don't miss it. 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Set your DVR, folks, Saturday and Sunday. We've got great guests Saturday. David Schoen, great lawyer, Victor Davis Hanson, and then my statement. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our Power Hour. The number 877-381-3811. We'll be taking some calls after the bottom of the hour. 877-381-3811. The show's been pretty heavy, so, I want to get some insight from you folks. Legal Insurrection, which is an outstanding site led by an outstanding individual. And they do a great job. They really do a great job. But listen to this. Remember the now Justice of the Supreme Court who wouldn't define what a woman is? How preposterous that is. And then they applaud her as the first black woman on the Supreme Court. It's the insanity. Well, she's a radical leftist. And she's voted as one could imagine. But this from Mary Chastain over at Legal Insurrection. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson headlining event featuring educators who backed the October 7 massacre. Say what? Say what? The entire conference schedule and workshops made me roll my eyes, she says. Oh, hold on now. On Thursday, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson will give the keynote address at the National Council of Teachers of English Convention. The speakers include anti-Israel activists who justified Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7th, Sosam Jabber and Hannah Mashabek. The organization represents K-12 to college English language arts and literacy educators. This poison is everywhere. This poison is everywhere. The Daily Wire's Cassia Kiva noted that NCT adopted a 2017 vision, I'm quoting, calling on members to apply the power of language and literacy to actively pursue justice and equity. I have a better idea. Actively pursue Shakespeare and English, you idiots. It's a woke convention because, of course, it is. She writes, unfortunately, I couldn't access more information about the workshop that I clicked on. Jabber and Malshabek hit the stage on Friday for the workshop. Quote, let's talk about Palestine, voices, experience, and education for liberation. At an English, K through 12 English seminar. Malshabek is the speaker. She's a Palestinian American who authored Homeland, My Father Dreams of Palestine. The book's description as follows. A father and his daughter may not be able to return home, but they can celebrate stories of their homeland. As bedtime approaches, 3 young girls eagerly await the return of their father, who tells them stories of faraway homeland, Palestine. Through their father's memories, the old city of Jerusalem comes to life. The sounds of juice vendors beating rhythms with brass cups, the smell of argila drifting through windows, and the sight of doves flapping their wings toward home. What about the sight of missiles and hand grenades and blowing up buses, Mr. Producer? Oh, but that comes later. Her Instagram is all about Palestine abolishing the police, hate for Israel, and resistance. On October 7, 2023, quote, when you reframe what's happening, you understand why people would retaliate, why people would resist. We've seen this in history before. We've seen this happen here on this very land when settlers took over. You know what's amazing about this? Gaza was given to the Palestinians. It never even belonged to the Palestinians. It was part of ancient Jewish territory. It was stolen by the Egyptians, but it was given by the Israelis to the Palestinians. The Jews were removed there by the Jews. So no settlers and so forth. And look what they turned it into. They turned it into a terrorist camp, a massive terrorist camp with tunnels and all the rest of it. You know, I can't understand. We keep talking about the peaceful Palestinians. Here you have these Palestinians. They're here in the United States. They're giving these speeches, and they're backing the genocide that took place on October 7th. These are teachers. And even worse, we have a Supreme Court Justice, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, or whatever Biden called her. What did he call her? Ketanji. Anyway, she's headlining the event featuring these educators who backed the October 7th massacre. They attack Sam Alito. They attack Clarence Thomas. They attack, look at these ethical issues here. What ethical issue? Oh, look at the ethical issues here. We need ethical reform. This is okay. Now, Mashback is a speaker who I mentioned. She's a Palestinian American. She claimed anti-Zionism isn't anti-Semitism. Well, of course it is. Anti-Zionism means the obliteration of the state of Israel and everything in it. Another post said, friends don't let friends support Israel. She wanted you to fight her if you disagreed that Zionism is racism. Apparently, NCTE in 2023 tried to force people to remain neutral. Mashabek bragged how teachers still spoke about Palestine on our panels because we will not be silenced in the face of genocide. Now, Swasan Jabber, the other. She's in the Chicago area. She's the English department chairman at the Maine West High School in Park Ridge, Illinois, an educational consultant for Google. On October 11, she posted on X, but we cannot fault Palestinians. This is right after October 7th, especially Gazans living in a modern-day concentration camp for over a decade, for fighting for their humanity. That doesn't make them terrorists. It makes them human. And her account on X is littered with anti-Israel statements, just one after another, and anti-Semitic statements. In February, students led a panel about the supposed genocide against the Palestinians. This is the brainwashing that goes on. Jabbar spoke at what she called the ISTE main stage. It's an organization that helps, quote, educators use technology to revolutionize learning. And so here she is speaking. She wouldn't identify as a woman, but she apparently identifies with this terrorist mentality. So Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson is headlining this event. She's headlining this event. You won't hear crap from a single senator or a House member on Capitol Hill. You won't hear crap from a single Democrat demanding answers. Nothing. You won't hear a thing. Because this is okay, don't you know? It's just not a big deal. It's just the Jews. Who cares about the Jews? And they're just teachers. Academic freedom. They're free to brainwash our children. Man, oh, Manischewitz, you know, this is going on all over the country. This is going on all over the country. It's really quite appalling. And we're going to, we, the parents, we're going to have to reverse course on this stuff. We're the ones who are going to have to push back. You know, the public schools used to be the place where there was assimilation. People come into the country legally. They're assimilated into our society. Now people come into the country and they assimilate our children into their ideological horror, their genocidal mentality. It's a big problem. A country can't survive this. This country won't survive it either. No country can. It just is what it is. And so these teachers, it's not like they're going to be admonished. It's not like they're going to be suspended. It's not like they're going to be removed. No, they're brazen about what they're doing, how they're taking advantage of the classroom. They're brazen about using our tax dollars. And what about this Justice Jackson? Other than me, have you ever heard this from anybody? This is going on this week. Other than me, have you seen it on cable? Have you heard it on talk radio? Not a word. Not a damn thing. And yet that's Justice Jackson. No. We got to be upset about Pete Hegseth. Don't you understand? Oh, that's right. I forgot. Hegseth. No. What about Justice Jackson, a lifetime appointment to the U.S. Supreme Court? Well, come on. First woman. Well, she can't even identify what a woman is. Well, you know, you must be a racist. No, I'm not in the least. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Well, let's get back to it, shall we? I guess we shall. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, she's an idiot, Democrat, New Hampshire. Certifiable idiot. And she's on the Morning Schmo show about mass deportations. And she's with Jen Psaki. There's another one who needs to be broomed. Lied to the American people with a straight face. Or whatever that she is that she's wearing on her head. Cut 12, go.
You've said that you're not going to help with Donald Trump's aspirations to do mass deportations. I think there are a lot of people out there who are happy to hear that. What can you specifically do to stop
first of all, there's a lot of people out there who aren't happy to hear that. And when the federal government's trying to deport illegal aliens, what authority does New Mexico have to stop that? They're not citizens of New Mexico. New Mexico has absolutely no authority over them. They can't be citizens of New Mexico because they're not citizens of the United States. They're here illegally. We have the Supremacy Clause. We have all these rules in place to prevent somebody like this hack, Michelle Lujan Grisham, from doing what she's doing. And so when you have Jen Psaki, I think a lot of people are in agreement with you. They're happy to hear that. They really are. Until they broom her off, and people like her, MSNBC will be a dead letter. Anyway, go ahead.
moving forward as once he becomes president?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, as you know, it's unlawful. You can't use the military.
Actually, you can. I know what she's getting at. And she and Rand Paul don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're not using the military as police. They're using the military the way that you would use the Immigration and Naturalization Service. That is, these are foreigners. They're gathering them up and they're removing them from the country. Go ahead.
Do mass deportation. So any federal administration, you should expect states, and I think you should expect some bipartisan support, not just by the Democratic governors.
There may be some bipartisan support, but the overwhelming position of the American people is to remove people who are here illegally. Now, you notice she doesn't even say, and Psaki won't even say, that they support the removal of violent criminals who've done things like murder, rape, assault, robbery, burglary. They don't even agree to that, do they? So we're all supposed to sit on our asses and say that the most lawless administration in American history in so many respects, especially when it comes to our immigration laws, they defied every damn one of them. You can't change a statute by executive order, and yet that's what Biden did. That's okay. And now in order to address it, that's illegal. Go ahead.
And the law. We're not going to do that. We ought to be working on
You'll do what you're told, lady. That's right. I said it. You're not a queen. You're not in charge of everything, even within your state. You're in charge of what you're permitted to be in charge of within your state. That is immigration to a point. But when a federal edict goes out that people who are illegally in violation of our federal immigration laws, you don't have any say in it. Now, you might say, Mark, you've switched positions. What about Governor Abbott in Texas? What about it? Governor Abbott was trying to enforce federal law. He wasn't defying federal law. One has nothing to do with the other. Here you have a lady who's the governor who's saying we're going to defy federal law. And if we want to keep murderers in our state, we'll keep them in our state. If we want to keep rapists in our state, we'll keep them in our state. What the hell are you going to do about it? Now, that's number one. Number two, as I said the other day, what the new administration needs to do is slash federal funding to New Mexico, if that's what it takes. Slash it. So be it. And there are other options that the federal government will have. And by the way, this is a path that's been burned by the Democrat Party. They've taught us how to do this. And so now we need to do this. There's no dispute here. There's no dispute that the federal government has the power to deport people. They can call them mass deportations. The only reason why there's mass deportations is because there was mass importations. That's why. That's why. But Michelle Lujan Grisham, she doesn't get to call the shots. And so it's not illegal. I don't even think Rand Paul said it's illegal. Maybe he did. It's kind of kooky, but maybe he said so. But he said that's not what we do as Americans, or something to that effect, I thought. And yet we did under Eisenhower. But now they're worried about the law, you see. Oh, that's illegal. We can't do that. But the border's open. That's illegal. No. That's secure. And we had a bipartisan legislation. Every crap, phony response you can possibly imagine. Go ahead.
Violent criminals and criminal activity is stopped everywhere. There isn't a state that isn't interested, whether you're an American citizen or not. And he effectively, Trump, killed the bipartisan. There we are. Does anyone understand what she's saying? Violent criminals and criminal activity is stopped everywhere, whether you're a citizen or not. Hey, excuse me, we're talking about deporting violent criminals who are here illegally. You can't deport. Listen, you can't deport American citizens, but you can deport illegal aliens. Bipartisan legislation. Such a fraud. This is the phony. McConnell did this. He and a couple of the coconuts, the morons, Senate Republicans. With that stupid bipartisan legislation that was never bipartisan. The bipartisan part was the opposition. Six Democrats, including Bernie the Red, and other leftist Democrats opposed it, as did all Republicans but one, Murkowski, because she's a fraud, a freak, and a phony. And that bill, of course, as we've discussed, would have enshrined the existing illegal immigration and open border practices of this administration. In fact, it would have enshrined more, upwards of 8,000 illegal aliens a day. That's like 2.5 million a year. So over 4 years, to be 10 million more illegal aliens, some of whom will become citizens by birth, some of whom would be getting amnesty, because the Democrats, that's the play, to get them amnesty, get them registered, get them voting, chain migration, and the ball game's over. Before you know it, in 20 years, the game's over. That's the plan. It's the plan right now. Now, we can't have mass deportations. We can only have mass importations. You can't use the military to deport illegal aliens. You certainly can. You can put the military on the border to prevent them from coming here in the first place, too.
There's a law they're referring to from, I think it's the 1860s, one I'm very cognizant of, that we were cognizant of when I was Chief of Staff to the Attorney General of the United States. In other words, they don't want the military in the streets exercising the power of, like, state police or local police and that sort of thing with tanks in the streets and so forth. Nobody's talking about that. That's not what we're talking about. But they don't care. It doesn't matter. The truth is a non-issue. I'll be right back.
Liberty's voice, Mark Levin. Talk with that voice now. 877-381-3811.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, open the mic, Rich. You can explain it. The live streaming is down, correct?
Our streaming service on the website and app are down.
Okay. So our streaming service is down on the website and the app. Maybe we'll actually invest in a more reliable one. I would encourage the company to do that. Just a thought. Because if we're going to promote them, they got to be available. And they have to be reliable. 24/7, 365. And let's see here. I promised we would go to some callers. Let's see if we have callers that we want to go to. All right, here we go. Let's go to Wenge. Abilene, Texas, XM Satellite. How are you?
I'm doing good, my brother. How are you? We are brother in arms, Mr. Levin.
Thank you.
You know, as you can tell, I have your book, and I've been listening to you for years.
Thank you.
I was born in Zimbabwe, and you know Zimbabwe, third world. They just don't know. But anyway, guess what? Congratulations.
Thank you.
For us.
And by the way, just so people know, what a communist hellhole they turned Zimbabwe into. No question about it. People of all colors, all faiths, all backgrounds. Just terrible. Anyway, go ahead, my friend.
So the thing is, we won the battle.
Mm-hmm.
The war is not over with these Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
The war is not over at all. Trump cannot solve our problems. I'm 43 years old and have generations. I have kids. And we need to have grassroots level like you do for us. You know, people, whenever you talk about prophets, to me, you are my prophet. I don't have to
Oh, my goodness.
But you speak the truth. Everything you say, you get called names, everything, my brother. They call you racist, bigotry. Guess what? Because you say something right. They don't look at why is this person being called persecuted and everything else. You don't even ask for any. I bought my book because I wanted to buy your. I wanted to read. I wanted to understand. I've been here 25 years. And the Democrats use a weapon. And but when you look at it, I took my friends. I was like,
you know what? Let's get Wenge's number, Mr. Producer, please. I don't want to lose Wenge. He's got a lot to tell the American people, but the line is not great. And let's try and call him back. I'll take another caller, but let's call him back so he can finish his thought. All right. Thank you, sir. Let us go to Lee in Leesburg, Virginia. The great WMAL, or as we call it, WMAL. How are you, my friend? Here we go. Let's try another one. Peggy, Frederick, Maryland, WMAL. How are you?
Good evening. How are you?
Let me look. I'm doing great. Thank you, Peggy.
I have been listening to you forever. I love talk radio. And everybody says, why do you listen to it? I said, because it's where you learn a lot. I mean, I love Trump. I love what he does. I love what he stands for, and I love his picks that he has going in with him this time around.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the world of him, and I think the world of you.
Oh, aren't you sweet? You're in Frederick, Maryland, one of the few free places left in Maryland. But anyway, go ahead.
You got it. I crochet firefighter blankets, police officer blankets, military blankets, and I listened to Chris Plant the other day, and I told him what my dream was, and I would love to give Donald Trump a United States of America blanket that I have crocheted.
And is he going to do it?
And
Come on, Chris, you can pull it off.
I have it made. I want somebody to help me make this happen. And I told Chris Plant my wish, and a lady heard me on the radio, and she says, call Mark Levin.
What?
I've tried to
Chris
get you
can't
for
do
a
this?
couple weeks
Hold on now. Brother Chris, he can do this. I'm sure he can.
And he said, well, I'm glad you do that. And, I said, I've done it for 14 years because my son is a firefighter in D.C.
All right, let me tell you something. I will help you. So, Mr. Producer, let her know how to get it to WMAL, I suppose. And WMAL can get it to me. They can get it to, Bill. And we'll try and make this happen, okay? Is that all right with you, Peggy?
Oh, that'll be wonderful. My dream will be fulfilled.
Let's see if I can. And by the way, I don't want 1,000 people calling me. I've got a mug. I'm not doing that. I'm not FedEx or the UPS. But that said, you sound like a lovely lady. You put a lot of work into this. I know it takes a lot of time, and we'll see what we can do. So don't hang up, whatever you do.
Served?
What's that?
Have you ever served in the military?
I have not.
What is your passion?
What's my passion?
I blankets for people all the time.
What's my passion? My passion is my country.
Do you want a United States of America blanket? Do you want a firefighter blanket? I
don't want you to give me anything. You give it to somebody else. You're a sweetheart. I've got more than I know what to do with around here. But seriously, you do whatever you want. You're very, very kind, Peggy. But whatever you do, don't hang up. Don't hang up. Thank you. One Gay is not with us yet? We can't reach him? All right, well, I don't feel comfortable taking other calls in front of him, so we'll keep trying, and if not, we'll try him again tomorrow. Does that make sense? I think it does. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
We be back. Let's take a few more calls. Let's go to Dan, Winchester, Virginia, the great WMAL. Dan, how are you?
I'm doing great, Mark. How are you doing?
Doing very well, thank you. I like Winchester. It's a nice little town. People don't know that it actually switched sides like 52 times during the Civil War, right? I don't mean switched sides, but it was conquered by one side or the other.
Yeah, and I was listening to one of your shows the other night, and you were wondering if there was a Denny's in the state, and we have Denny's in Winchester.
Really?
Yeah, we have a Denny's in Winchester. Yeah,
it's a long drive to get, a couple of eggs, but I love Denny's. I really do.
Right. I wanted to, say that, again, I'm a first-time caller, and I wanted to give you a little story, just a short little story. Yeah. I would go over to my mom's, both my parents have passed away now, but I would go over to my mom's and sit down with her, and she would be every day, she would be rocking in her rocking chair, crocheting, and she would be listening to Rush. And I'm like, Mom, why do you always listen to this guy? And he religiously she just crochets and listens to Rush.
And we all did, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then she would listen to you in the evening time. So it didn't matter when you go over to her house, she was either listening to you or Rush and crocheting. So
that's so sweet.
When she passed away, I'm like, okay, well, I can't listen to Rush, but because I'll be at work. But who was that guy that she was listening to in the evenings? And I remember it was Mark Levin. And so I started listening to you, and the day that I started listening to you was the first day that you decided that you were going to start playing the national anthem before your shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I have religiously listened to you from 6 to 9 every single day, Monday through Friday. I don't think I've missed a show.
That's such a beautiful story. It really, I can't tell you how I appreciate it. I really do. It's so kind. The fact that I have that effect on people, and I want you to know you have that effect on me. I know that there's so many sweet people, big-hearted people who are out in this audience, and at various events when people come up to me, or not even events, just generally, always so kind and supportive. I tell you, I have the best audience of all audiences, and that's because of people like you. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, sir. And I just, hopefully I get to meet you at a book signing or something sometime and introduce to you.
Well, Dan, when did your mother pass away?
What
year did it?
Man, it was the same year as Rush.
Oh, my God. So about, what's that, like 4 years ago now? No, it's more than that.
4 or 5 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It was 2020.
Yeah.
2020. Yeah. That can't be right, Mr. Producer. Well, we'll Google it. We'll figure it out. But whatever it was, he's deeply missed. 2021? Yeah. 2021, Dan.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. God bless you. And that was a beautiful call. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Let's go to Robert, Athens, Alabama, WVNN. Huntsville, Alabama. How are you, Robert?
I'm doing good, Mark. I
just want to repeat what I've always said. Huntsville is the best little town in America, at least from what I remember. And not only that, I always say that University Boulevard, if you want to eat, that University Boulevard has every conceivable kind of restaurant. Am I right, Robert, or not?
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. And I even think we got a Denny's close around here somewhere.
Yeah, I bet.
Might be a little further down the road, but we got one.
What's up, big guy?
Man, this media is just a bunch of one-eyed mules. They don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as these people putting warrants out for arrest of leaders of nations, they don't know what they're asking for. That's just crazy. What are they supposed to do? What are they going to do when somebody shows up and takes them out? Gets them back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's crazy.
It is interesting because maybe these countries, Israel as an example, maybe they should put out a warrant for these judges. But they won't, because the left in Israel's nuts. And half of them would like to see Netanyahu go down because he's a great leader. That said, the major opposition parties, every one of their leaders have condemned what was done by this phony court, this court that's part of the UN. Can I ask you a question? Why are we in the damn UN anyway? Why don't we form, and I've talked about this for 40 years. I've written about it. Why don't we create sort of a United Free Nations organization so we don't have to be sitting next to genocidal maniacs? Do you agree with me or not?
I agree. But I tell you what, the United Nations needs to be overhauled.
Mm-hmm.
They're
not going to do it. So I think we kick them the hell out, take the land back, and we build something else there, something that's actually useful. At least that's my view. Hey, I understand Alabama went for Trump. Did you hear that?
No.
All right, Robert, take care of yourself. Great talking to you. Joe, Trenton, New Jersey, WABC. We don't have a lot of time. What Trenton makes, the world takes. This is what I read on the bridge. Go ahead.
Okay, Mark, when Thune was elected the leader of the Senate, it sent out a warning. Now we have Donald Trump's going to be down 3 picks on almost 3 senators on almost every choice. You're going to have Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, and Susan Collins.
Mm-hmm.
And Mitch McConnell...
Don't get mad. Call back. I got to go, Joe. I apologize to you, and you're probably right. We salute our armed forces, police officers. Call back, Joe. Our firefighters, our emergency personnel, our truckers, our brothers and sisters in Ukraine, our brothers and sisters in Israel. We have your back. And you, the American people. God bless you. See you tomorrow.